Welcome back to the innovation stage here at AI4 Cybersecurity, brought to you by M12, Microsoft's venture fund. If you'd like to learn more about M12, you can check out their virtual booth. Our next speaker is Michael Persechini, VP of Sales at Hunters. Please join me in welcoming Michael to our virtual stage.
Thank you, Patricia, and thank everyone for joining us today. So as Patricia said, I'm Michael Persechini, VP of Sales here at Hunters. I'm here to talk about our Knowledge Power XDR for security operations centers. So a bit of background on my company is we're a little over 2-year-old company based out of Tel Aviv, Israel, and also Boston, Massachusetts, really with the mission of scaling cybersecurity expertise for better threat detection and response using artificial intelligence and machine learning. And we get into how we do that. We built our platform really to help solve some core fundamental problems that security operations centers are facing today, which is too much data, not enough resource to actually go through all that data and prioritize what's important and react quickly enough before an adversary causes damage. So what we've built in our Knowledge Power XDR is one, the ability to integrate your existing security stack. So everything from endpoint to network security solutions, to application security, to your cloud, that telemetry can be fed into Hunters, so we can analyze it and prioritize it for you. Secondly, you can also import organizational context, which thus means what is important to you? What are your high value assets? Where are your crown jewels in the organization, where you've got a much higher sensitivity to anything nefarious happening in those environments, so we can monitor those more closely. Then we apply our intelligence and expertise to your data set. Similar to what a human analyst would do by going through events, analyzing each one, prioritizing it, looking for commonalities across the environment, we've automated all that with our software. So we're able to apply our adversary understanding of the tactics and techniques that they're using in the wild and mapping that across your data set to see if we see any active attacks going on in your environment. We're able to correlate. We also have a threat intelligence team that's out there researching what the bad guys are doing 24/7. And applying that up-to-date threat intelligence into our platform and to your data set as well. So as they're changing their TTPs and their tactics and techniques, we can automatically import that in our system and hunt for that across your data set to see if we can find any of that activity going on in your environment as well. Since Hunters is an open XDR, we are able to integrate with a variety of products that you may already have today within your security stack. So everything from endpoint solutions to network solutions to cloud compute platforms you may be doing, identity and access management, as well as being able to harvest data from existing data platforms you may have. So if you have a SIM today where we can augment that solution, or you're looking to go and build out a security data lake, these are all things that Hunters can help you with. So from here, I'd like to show you, one, how easy it is to solve the data pipeline, the data ingest problem with Hunters. So one of the things that's really held organizations back from doing a lot of this automation today is that it's very difficult to import data from a variety of different sources, or normalize it and parse it so that you can apply analytics to it at machine speed. And for that, we've solved that within Hunters. So I'll show a use case here of just adding in a new data source, and we'll use Microsoft Azure as an example. It's as easy as selecting the data source, putting in the connection string, selecting what data set you want us to analyze. And again, you could select multiple of these if you choose to do so. How far back you want us to analyze, because we can do some retrospective analysis as well. Then hitting submit. At that point, your work effort of getting data into Hunters is done. All of the normalization, all of the data parsing, all of the schema building is done automatically in our software. So once you've done that process of getting data into Hunters, what you are working on is a highly curated set of prioritized events that are relevant to your environment. So it really has you using more of your cyber smarts to protect your business versus having to manage the data pipeline and prioritize events. So the scenario you see here in our demo system is we've ingested 21.6 terabytes of data across Amazon, CrowdStrike, Microsoft, Carbon Black, and also Zscaler. This represents tens of thousands of events per second streaming in from all these data sources into your repository. That is way more than any human could ever go through, and it requires a lot of automation to investigate each one of those, which most companies aren't doing today. But with Hunters, we are actually able to go investigate each one of those events and determine which ones are important. So we go through a process of taking this raw data, finding leads, and these are events that we found interesting across this 21.6 terabytes. And then we applied our intelligence to it. So we call them detections across that data set to see whether any of these are really worthy of your analyst time. Out of this 916, we found 121 that we've scored hot, which means we've investigated them. We've determined that they are worthy of the analyst to go investigate, but we didn't stop there. And we further drilled down into those to say, are we seeing any commonality among these unique hot events that shows that they're actually transgressing across your entire attack surface? Are they generating signals across multiple products in your environment? If so, we build out something called a story. And in Hunters, most of our users spend their time investigating stories. So I'll drill down into one of those to show you an example. So in this scenario here, I'm going to go back a second to show you this chronologically. We've got an example of signals that were tripped off of an Azure environment and also CrowdStrike raw events. So we have an agent here that went to a domain that was deemed to be low reputation. And this probably happens thousands of times a day, and your analysts are not going to go spend time researching each one of these. But Hunters went through and drilled down into that event to see, well, was anything else interesting that happened around that related to this domain or to this specific host? Well, we found that this person, Larry Miller, was logged into that system. And a few minutes after going to this low reputation domain, Larry logged into the Microsoft Azure environment and bypassed multi-factor authentication, which again, on its own, may not require someone to go investigate. But when you pair these two things together, it starts to make you raise an eyebrow to say there might be something more to this situation. And shortly after that, Larry did a disk snapshot and generated a download link, and also executed some VM extensions, which is something that he's never done before. So these things all put together over this 28-minute session got scored 193. We show you what generated that scoring mechanism, and this is something we would certainly escalate to an analyst to go investigate. The good thing here is the analyst from within this window has all the information they need to go drill down into this event, understand exactly what happened, what that raw data set looks like that we got that actually generated this event, and then make a determination of what they do from there to go investigate this or remediate it. When it comes to the remediation piece, you can either work directly off of this tab here and integrate with things like your SOAR platform or ITSM solution to go to remediation, or within the Hunters platform, you can build out an investigation report. So an example of one of those, which I'll pull up, which is relevant recently, which is around the SolarWinds supply chain breach that occurred. And this is an example report that we generated within the Hunters platform that showed that we scanned this environment for these specific IOCs and found that there was low risk to the organization. Now, if this was a scenario where it was deemed high risk, you could collaborate with your peers in this report, add some additional data, and determine what steps need to be taken next, and also share this with your executives to show what the impact was to the organization, what steps were taken to remediate it, and what further action, if necessary, needs to be taken. One last scenario I'd like to show you as well is the ability for you to go do your own investigations within Hunters. So we'll take the Larry Miller example again and just key in his username to the search field here. And Hunters is going to pull back everything interesting we've ever seen about Larry Miller across all the data that you're generating within your security stack. And here we found that there's 200 interesting leads related to Larry, 2 interesting stories. And one of those stories is the one I just walked you through earlier, where it shows that he was likely phished, his account credentials were compromised, and used to log into the Azure environment. So you got the ability to do this investigative workflow within Hunters, but it's streamlined and automated to the point where we're just typing in a few keywords. You can get all that relevant data back that you need to go determine what's going on with this specific user, a process ID, or that specific host. So thank you today for spending time with us, and we welcome you to come by our booth to do a deeper discussion around the Hunters solution and a deeper dive demo if you'd like to. Thank you.